All right, first of all, thanks for everybody coming out. Appreciate you coming here today. First, it's kind of a unique, signing day format. Normally this is the day that you sign everybody, and today we signed 3 guys, and I really think that the early signing period maybe benefited the colleges and universities, and it was really kind of, they did this change, I think, because of the student athletes who are on committees and felt like this would be beneficial to the student athletes to be able to make an early decision. We have it in most other sports except for football. Now we have it in football as well. So we signed 22 in the early signing period, which was on December 18th, and 3 today. You never know how these classes end up until you have the guys on campus for a year, 2 years, whatever the case may be. But this is probably the highest ranked class that Tulane has had. I think we ended up as the 68th ranked class in the nation, either 3rd or 4th in the American Athletic Conference. 3 4-star players, 18 3-star, and 1 2-star. So my coaches did a great job of going out and identifying top-notch talent and securing them and getting them to come here to Tulane. The guys we signed today, we signed 2 guys from the same high school, which is unusual. Both these guys had a lot of SEC interest early, and and I think sometimes waiting helps the student athlete. Sometimes it may not. Sometimes it may help the university when they wait. And it's all depends on the individual and the situation. But LeDedrick Jackson is a linebacker from Sidney Lanier High School, and then also Alfred Thomas is a defensive lineman from Sidney Lanier as well. Something that's interesting about Sidney Lanier High School that I learned when I was over there last week. Bart Starr was quarterback there at Sidney Lanier High School, and his center was James Wilson, who our center's named after here, the athletic department center. So that's something that was pretty neat. And then we also signed Keitha Jones from over at Port Arthur Memorial High School, and got him to flip from a member institution here in the American, and he's another linebacker. I think he's going to be a great player for us. Good size and movement and speed as well. And last, before I open it up for questions, is I want to thank everybody who helped us. We've got a lot of people that are here today that helped us tremendously in recruiting, coming in on the weekends, working hard. It's not just the coaches, it's the student athletes who host these guys when they come in. It's the support staff that we have, faculty, everybody that's affiliated with Tulane University football. So I'll go ahead and open it up for any questions anybody has. Gary, you're always good for questions. Go on now.
There's been a lot of reasons given over the years for why it's hard to win at Tulane, but I think one of the primary ones has been that player for player at the top level hasn't been as good as most of the opponents on the schedule. Like you said, it's too early to judge at this point, but just on paper, do you feel like you're starting to rectify that?
Yeah, I think we've gotten better every year. Obviously, the first year, you're behind the 8 ball, you start late. I really didn't get a chance to go out and recruit until, January 14th, dead period for a long time there right after I took the job. So that always makes it tough. It always is tough for all transitions. But I thought last year we had a very good year, and I thought this year was much improved. I tell our players that are playing for us right now that, they need to do a great job of developing, getting better every single day. We need to do a great job of coaching them, and then part of our job as a coach too is try to recruit over the top of them, get better talent in here, get more competition, get some more depth. I think that brings out the best in everybody when there's true competition, and we haven't had enough of that, in my first 2 seasons here.
Coach, obviously, just looking at the signing and who you brought in, it seems like there was a much more concerted effort to get Louisiana prospects and build those relationships.
Yeah, the longer you're here, the more relationships you build with the high school coaches, and makes you more familiar with the schools as well. It's tough for me. The head coach is only allowed to go out one time and have contact with the student athlete during recruiting. We don't get to go out in spring anymore. During the season, obviously you're busy coaching games, so you got to, go to where the prospects are at. But I spent about almost a week just going to some different high schools that I hadn't had the opportunity to go to in the state who have great players, and Louisiana certainly is, per capita, if not the best state in the United States for talent. High school kids going Division I, it's in the top, 3 or 4. So we got 8 this year. We're hoping next year it's going to be 10, 12. We'd like to continue to keep building that, but one of the great selling points for me taking this job was the location of Tulane, being in New Orleans. You got great football in the state of Louisiana, and then, driving outside the state, there's a bunch of great football as well.
Do you feel like the new early signing period helped your class as a whole, or what do you think it impacted?
It just seemed, I think they did a little study on it, and based on the number of kids that signed Division I last year, and then how many signed December 18th, it was like 92%. So they're really, everybody was in a similar situation to us, where they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 scholarships, and that was it. So, I think everybody's kind of doing it. So I just think the new signing day is now December 18th. That third Wednesday or whatever they make it each year in the month of December, and by and large, it was really rare where I thought, maybe, and this isn't just with Tulane, it was with all schools that I noticed, where maybe a kid had an opportunity to sign in December, he didn't, and he waited, and he may have done what people would consider better by waiting. I didn't see that very much. As a matter of fact, a few of them, I think, people filled up and they didn't have anything. I know there's a bunch of kids calling us in January, and we just didn't have scholarship availability. I think everybody's going to learn from it. I think college coaches, student athletes, I think the high school coaches. The only thing I've had against it at all is, I've been a high school coach, and just we had a few kids that signed with us in December, but they didn't visit until January because they were playing the state championship. They just couldn't come in, and I've coached at that level. I've coached junior college, and I'd like for the kid to concentrate on. To me, I compare it to having the draft, while your season's still going on in college. I think you guys might be a little interested in something else and playing for the old green wave, so that's why I think it's tough for the high school coaches.
Coach, when you look at the signees you brought in, who are some of the guys you are expecting to kind of make a quick impact?
Well, I was going to really mention the Louisiana kids. The 8 kids that we signed from the state. We got a couple of them came in early. One of whom is Devon Wright from Donaldsonville, and the reason why I think he's going to play early for us, he's got the mass, he's got the size, and he's got the strength. He and one other freshman defensive lineman came in early, Jeffrey Johnson, and Jeffrey was a big get for us out of Mississippi. He's another guy that's got the mass and the strength. Those are 2 of our stronger guys, and we need to get bigger. We need to get taller. We need to get longer. We need to get more mass. This is a great. You hear about all the skilled kids all the time, but in the American, but this certainly has got a lot of big kids on the offense and defensive line, and we need to get bigger as well. Jorian Valiant from Ash High School, Alexandria Senior High, is a taller, longer receiver. We need to get bigger out on the perimeter, both defensively and offensively, and I think he brings that, to the equation. Damian Tate from Warren Easton High School, coached by Jerry Phillips. He's on the 98 team here at Tulane. I had a lot of people here in the city tell me that they thought Damian was the best player in New Orleans. A bunch of coaches, unsolicited. So we're excited about having him join us and playing the secondary for us. Michael Remede, from Episcopal High School over there by Lafayette. You know, he's an unbelievable student as well. He's a 4-point plus GPA and, you know, I think a 29 ACT. And thing I liked about him is that their team was a little overmatched when he was a junior and they played in the state championship. And he was still out there competing and really kicking tail in that game. And he's a guy that's, I think, going to develop into a great offensive lineman for us. Jamyron James from right down the street here at De La Salle had a tremendous senior year and led them to the state championship game. And he's a guy that we think can play early for us. He's got the mass and the size right now, and he also has got exceptional strength. He's a 400-pound plus bench presser, 600-pound squatter, and we're excited about getting him out here going as well. Macon Clark from over at Destrehan was a first-team All-State, all classifications, defensive back, and we're going to need some young guys to step in and be able to play for us in the defensive backfield. Dorian Campbell from over at Scotlandville, home of Tanzel Smart. Tanzel's been back working out like crazy downstairs in the weight room, but Dorian, I think, was one of our 4-star signees. Had a lot of offers, wanted to stay close to home. Great track athlete. He's run a 10,600 meters. I think he was third in the state last year in a 400, 47.3, which is hooking it. And he also has got the length out on the perimeter. He's about 6'2", and a taller corner safety type guy. So I think those are all the kids that we signed, I believe, from the state. Hopefully I didn't leave anybody out, but Juan Mangeras, also from St. Aug. Juan's got great speed. He's getting bigger and bigger. Going to play defensive end for us at the position he's going to play. He's going to have to drop and play in space, but also rush the passer. And we had him in camp early, and he did a super job for us. So we're excited about the guys we got from the state of Louisiana. Well, that's you know, you don't see it when you go and watch a game because you see all the skill guys, but you win up front. You know, that's a big part of the ball game. And like I said, we need to get bigger. We need to get better athletes up there, and we need to get some guys with mass and strength. You know, when I first got here, that was a big emphasis for us was in the weight room because our strength levels needed to improve. We're getting where we need to get as far in terms of our strength, but bringing in a guy who already has very good strength and is a little bit more ready-made, you know, I think that's where we got to get to. And you're going to take a chance on some guys that are developmental guys, but you can't have you know, if you sign 25 guys, you can't have 25 developmental guys. You need, you know, 3 or 4 or 5 of those guys that might need to put on a little bit of weight, or maybe they're going from a small classification to playing Division I football, and they're going to take some seasoning to get better. But we want to get guys that are more ready-made that can compete for, you know, starting positions for us, playing the kicking game. You know, game 1 out here August 30th against Wake Forest. So, you know, and I tell our players all the time, I don't, you know, I like all of them. They're all great kids, but we're going to play the best guys. Doesn't matter if they're a first-day freshman or a fifth-year senior. So just get some competition.
Look at the last, you signed a player at every position, and you didn't have any linebackers in the early period, and you got 2 linebackers.
Yeah, those 2 guys were just really too good to pass up, and those guys are ready-made guys. Both of them are, you know, 6'2", 215, 220 pounds. You know, Keith Jones didn't play linebacker as a senior. His junior year, he's a great linebacker. He was an all-state quarterback this past year. And, you know, then LeDedrick Jackson was also a guy that, you know, he had all sorts of you know, SEC offers. I think he had 5 or 6 of them. Was committed, decommitted, and unfortunately got injured that next week. And, you know, and we were fortunate enough to get him, and he's on pace to be able to, you know, jump in here and be ready to go in August.
Any other questions?
You signed Christian Daniel, you're obviously limited
Well, we got three. You know, we got Dane Ledford. We've moved back over there to quarterback, Christian Daniels. And the great thing about that is he's here for spring football, and then obviously Jonathan Banks. You know, so we got three, and you know, there's some other things we can do. Amari Jones, you know, we got him listed as running back, but he played quarterback most of the time. Keitha Jones played quarterback. Who am I missing? Darius Bradwell's played quarterback before. So there's some things you can do with some wildcat and different things like that, and put a guy back there who can throw the ball effectively, but maybe a little bit more of a runner to take the hits off the quarterback. But you know, I noticed most of them NFL teams have got, you know, two that they activate for games, sometimes three, and you know, we just you know, the thing I didn't want to do is grab somebody that I didn't think was a Division I football player. I just didn't want to do that. And you know, you grab a guy like that, he's hanging around for 4 years, and he doesn't help you win like you want to win. So if we would have had an opportunity to sign a guy that felt like a bona fide Division I guy, we would have done it.
One other thing, with only 3 scholarship spots available, how hard how tricky did that make it if you're trying to bring in guys?
Well, you know, one of the things you do is this is like was kind of like spring recruiting part 1. You know, usually assistants go out in late April, for first couple weeks of May, spring recruiting. Well, now because we only had 3 scholarships, they were doing a lot of that, you know, during the month of January, and I did a lot of that in the month of January. But you got to have a nice pool. Things change on a daily basis. You know, you might find out more information. You know, somebody else may come in. You may find another guy, and so you just got to have a pool big enough to be able to sign 3 quality guys, which we were able to do. Anybody else? Thank you very much.